Hello, what's up, good people? Good to see you once again. Now, today I'm gonna share with you common mistakes that 99% usually make at their 20s that throws them into abject poverty, usually desperate for the redemption. Probably you've seen some people making these mistakes, and some of them are our parents. You've shown them make these mistakes, and the problem, the challenges that they are right now actually did exactly that. And maybe if you look around, you can see some people actually doing it or have done it, and they're actually in a problem. But what are you doing exactly about them? Guess what? In this video, I'm gonna share with you common those mistakes that usually you take them that can throw yourself into abject poverty in 15 or 20 years to come from today. But because I don't want you to miss any of my good future videos, this is what I want you to do. And by the way, this is a deal, all right? Just head over on the just down below there on your right, there is a button written subscribe. It is in black. Hit that button, then on your left there is a button, a like button like this. Hit those two magical buttons. It doesn't cost you anything. It is free and it is fast. Guess what happens once you do that? You get to be notified whenever I upload a new good video. All right, so let's get to today's business. Now, what are these common mistakes that over 99% usually make at their age 20s that usually throws them into abject poverty? And actually, I usually say that they're desperate for the redemption. One common mistake I usually get with young people is that there is this notion that goes around and they say that the life is short, it is good to enjoy yourself. It's always good to make sure that you do that what makes you happy. And let me tell you one thing, that is a whole sort of a deception. And they usually take money on the perspective of if money is there to be spent. Let me tell you one secret. That's the truth. You know what? What happens is that once you get your money, yes, I understand it should be spent, but the fact remains that the money should be spent with a budget. And again, spending with a budget means that you have not to spend or devour everything. Let's take this case scenario. You take your money, or rather you get your salary if you're employed, or maybe you get your money if you employ yourself. And then at the end of the day, what clicks in your mind is getting yourself happy, throwing parties and making yourself happy and such kind of things. You don't even care about that particular moment that you won't have the strength that you're having right now. For example, let me tell you one secret. Whenever you are at your 20s, that's the most actually sort of your prime time. That is your prime time. It's the time that you'll never get to see again in your life. The energy you have, the zeal and the motivation that you have, you never get to see it. That particular moment is usually the best time to sacrifice some of the things. Actually, believe you not, you can go ahead like a whole 2 days without actually even throwing those parties, and actually you can even suspend like the entire lunch without eating and nothing big will change in your body. But guess what? Can you tell like a 90-year-old person or 70 years old person to sacrifice that lunch? They cannot afford to do so. Why? Because they do not have that body strength. So what happens at your 20s? You're supposed to take that cash, that money. Yes, it is good to make yourself happy. I mean, after all, they say work without play makes a jack a dull boy. So it is good to make sure that you at least enjoy yourself, but in a controllable manner. Once you get your money, I always advise people, make sure that you set aside at least 20% of what you're getting towards savings, but not just savings. All right, I always share with you that you cannot save yourself to the riches. Once you save that money, you accumulate money, you store that money, you raise to a certain particular amount, usually called capital. Now you take that money, you invest it, or you start a business. All right. So now what you're supposed to do at that particular age is that, yeah, it's true. I know you're at your prime age, your energy is out there, the zeal is out there. You want to hang around with yourself, with your peers and what have you. Probably you're suffering from a self-identity. You just want to know how far can you stretch and what you can you do and what can you achieve and all other things. And this is usually the pool of where is a pool of people where people just actually make mistakes and knock each other, and by the time you're realizing yourself, it is too late. By the time you're clocking your 30 or the third floor, you realize that you made a mistake and you cannot redeem yourself out of the mistake that you did. What I would advise is this: focus on getting yourself some skills, and actually the skills about money management, the financial literacy, because a lot of people tend to think that they know how money works, but majority of them tend to know nothing. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and explain to you. The other common mistake that you make is that you hardly have budget for your money. You just pick up your money, you just spend it, and then the moment you realize that you've ruined your money, you start trying to take a pen and paper, try to catch up where you actually spend your money. Maybe you will successfully do so and maybe try to catch up and get exactly where you've spent your money. But at the end of the day, it doesn't help you because that is already a money gone. Remember one thing, you can't eat your cake and have it at the same time. So what you're supposed to do is have the budget. And I always tell people is it having a budget is telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. So it's always good to have your budget with you and actually know exactly how you spend your money and where and how you direct your money so that you make that appropriate decision. The other common mistake that people make at 20s is to believe that investments like in shares, the money market fund, the balance funds and what have you It is for the rich people. It's for the people with a lot of money. That is a common mistake, because investing in those areas doesn't require as big money as you've been thinking. Actually goes ahead. Some of this money market fund you can invest as low as 100. Some of these shares you can get started with as low as less than 1,000 shillings. All right. So that means it is not for the rich people. Actually, even investing in treasury bills and treasury bonds that requires a minimum of 50,000, and some and infrastructure ones requires 100,000. You tend to think like it's too much for you. It is not. At times you find like the money that you've been throwing out there is way far much more than that is required for you to get started in treasury bills or the treasury bonds. So those are the bubbles that I wanted to burst, or I want to burst, so that at least you don't get yourself into that thing. Number five mistake that usually people at their 20s make is to believe that they are entitled to their success. They believe that they are poor, quote unquote poor, because for me, I don't believe there is anybody poor out there. They believe that they are so because of somebody never or was never responsible someone. You believe that you cling to your miserable life that you're living in due to your parents or whoever brought you up or where you were born from. Some of them even regret from being in Africa and what have you. That is the common mistake that people make. As you grow old, you come to realize one thing. Opportunities are all over the place. And it may be true that some of our leaders in Africa may be messing up around, but the fact remains they're still rich people who do not even have any political ties. They have done so because poverty starts in the mentality before it goes to their pockets. So believing and actually subscribing to the understanding that you poor because of your parents or where you're born from or something of sort, that's so wrong. And what happened is that there is this saying that says that whatever you think of, that's what you vibrate, and means that's what you get. All right. So, and by the way, even the Bible says that whatever you confess, you actually possess. So it's always good to believe that whatever you're doing is actually the best thing. And I always say this: use what you have before you get what you want. For example, that phone that you're having right now, you can pick up a skill, learn a skill, and disseminate those services and gets rewarded at the end of the day. Always remember this, that money is always a reward given after solving someone's problem. And creating wealth and being rich has never been an event. If it's so, then everyone will be. It's never an event, it's always a process. You take time to create yourself before progressing to the next level. So shed off that thinking that you've been having, that you're poor because of where you're born from or somebody somewhere. It is not responsible for your life and something of sort. And the last one, but not the least, at your 20s usually believe that the reason as to why you are so thin is because of the political decisions that are made at the top there. And you tend to believe that you do not have a control over that. Let me tell you one thing. It might have an effect, I do not agree, or rather I do not disagree, but the fact remains, it is not a substantive effect that can make you live in a poverty the rest of your life. If you then think so, then a majority of us or almost everybody will be as poor as you are. And again, I don't believe anyone is a poor person. So the fact remains that believing and actually subscribing to the understanding that due to the political decisions that are made up there, it is entirely the reason as to why you are the way you are. Then what happened is that you tend to live in a miserable life, and you tend to believe in that, or you just try to justify yourself. Hey, you know what, guys, you shouldn't just understand me. I'm having a very tough time and I'm having a very rough moment because there are bad decisions that were made on top there in terms of the government. That's where I am today. That is not the case. At the other time, you're supposed to make sure that you pick that's what you can. You control that. I always say that control the controllables and leave the rest to where you cannot be able to do so. So this is the point. If I can just go ahead and recap exactly what I've just said. I've said, number one, you tend to believe or that the money is there to be spent. You tend to believe that life is short, you're supposed to do some parties, life is for the living, and all those things. And remember one thing, that's the language of a failure. It's a language of a poor person. That's the mentality you should never ever inculcate in your mind. Otherwise, the way you're complaining, probably your kids one day will complain. All right. And number two, I say that you being poor out there, it is not related to you where you're born from. There are two things that you can never choose in this life. Or rather, should I say just one thing you can never choose in this life? You can never choose to where you can be born from. But you can always choose to where you can retire. That is a fact. And number three, nobody owes you any explanation. Nobody owes you anything to do with you being rich or being poor. That is a fact. Number three, I said that you're supposed to have a budget of your money, making sure that at all the occasion you are able to direct where your money should go. It starts with sacrifice before it goes to you enjoying your life, right? Sometimes you get confused out there. You see somebody with a lot of money, but they do not buy those cars that you usually think, because that is not the life. That's not how life works. One day when you get that, you get to understand it is not exactly how it works. And the other one is that no political decisions that are made out there that overly hold you back, that you cannot be able to burst your bubble, go out there, grab that opportunity, and transform it towards your own need. That's for a fact. And by the way, if you out there, you're confused and you'd like to start something for yourself and grow yourself to the next level, I always make these things here for you. You can always give me a call. I'll leave my number on the description of this specific video. You can give me a call. I offer anything to do with investment advices, financial advices, and any consultancy related to that matter. And if you'd like me to prepare your business, and perhaps you're out there, you've been displaying all through, you got your money somewhere, and you'd like to start a business, I write business plans, business proposals as well. I have ready ones already for you, and I have booklets about business ideas, business plans, and what have you. You can pick the number from the description of this video. You text me on the WhatsApp, you get your copy. It's only 220. So for now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one. And by the way, if you forgot to click that like button as well as subscription button, then do so. I'm gonna give you that 1 second. Do that exactly so you don't miss the next of my future video. If you do not know me, my name is Joseph. Talk about money, talk about anything related to that cash in your pocket. So for now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.